Oh, hello, friend. Come, join us by the fire. The story's about to begin.
Alright, well, we have just 3 of us, but I would like to welcome you back to Fireside Dice. Come sit by the fire and let's share in this tale of adventure. So, last time, quite a bit ended up happening. We had...
Kind of intense.
Yeah.
Some mildly important things went down.
Well, not the least of which being the release of Krenko and the subsequent, I would say, overreaction to the person who gave the quest, Nasius Ven. He wanted to find out what exactly was going down, just get an update as to why they didn't make the meeting point. The characters decided in response to that to planeswalk, which, if you listened to last episode, I had very strong reactions towards. I had strong feelings, I had plans, and, well, when you have a planeswalking campaign, this is kind of what ends up happening.
Yep.
I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, but that is in the past, and this is now, and I'm very glad that I decided to end the episode there, so that way I could actually plan out what was going to happen this time.
It's not a true D&D campaign until the players have messed up the DM's plans in some way. I'm
Pretty
simply
much.
keeping the balance of what the universe says should be.
Okay. If you believe in the memes, then we shall continue to live with the memes. Another one of those memes with Dungeons & Dragons is that scheduling is quite difficult. And so in line with that line of belief, one of our players is actually not available today. We are continuing, however, and this is going to be explained as in the Planeswalk, the character who's end up missing today is Suri, our warlock, played by Riley. And Suri is a native of Innistrad and has a much more intimate connection with the plane. So traveling there for her is a lot more precise. Now, last time we described there was the tug, the feeling of walking somewhere else, going through this absolute maelstrom. Well, actually, I don't think we got into what the blind eternities are like.
No, I think we all just blinked out of existence in Ravnica.
Okay. So, Bafuur, let's start off with you.
Okay.
You've only really experienced planeswalking once before. And it was traumatic, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that we've fully gone into that experience for you.
Not
But
yet.
with this time, you've experienced traveling between worlds before, but not in planeswalking format. As you think about, as you've pictured the description that Suri gave and that was presented to you on Ravnica, you concentrate, you think about where you need to go, and this mist seems to envelop you. And it's this chaotic, messy, I would say void, but it almost feels like you're just standing in the most dense mist that you have ever seen. And it's not quiet either. There are things here. As to what they are, you don't know. But there are nudges. It almost feels like you're being buffeted by wind. And the mist dissipates. And as you look up and around, you're in the middle of a forest, and there is mist upon the ground, but it's far less dense, and it only hangs about to your ankles, and it clings to the ground. It's less than pleasant. Do you want to roll a perception check to see what's around you?
Absolutely. Not great. That is +3. That is an 8 total.
An 8? That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to roll a d4 for me.
Oh boy. That's a 3.
You don't see anything. However, behind you, there is a crunch, a snap of a twig behind you. And as you turn around, you can see that there's a person standing there, coming into this, not necessarily clearing, but less dense patch of trees. We will leave off there with you for the moment.
Oh.
I know, I'm cruel.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as Bartholomew gets back, we'll join up with him and see what's going on. Oh, you got back just in time. Now, you've not been to a wide variety of worlds. You're not as well traveled as some of the planeswalkers of Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been to your fair share. You're pretty intimate with the process.
Yeah.
And so, as you come back into the Blind Eternities, this kind of space between worlds, you get in there and you feel that similar sense of buffeting, of almost claustrophobia, as the mist is so dense that you can barely see.
Mm-hmm.
And you said last time that you wanted to focus on your two friends as your anchor points going into Innistrad. And as you're concentrating, you can feel a divergence between them. Something is either wrong or something is going differently than expected.
Can I distinguish who's who?
I want you to roll, let's call this an insight check, because you're distinguishing kind of this aura in these two nodes of existence.
Okay. The 23.
23,
Yeah.
you can tell precisely. And it's not only that you know who is whom. One of the key pieces that you have to figure that out is you've been to Innistrad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the mana is like there. You know how magic works there. Suri has a similar aura to her that Innistrad does, and it's distinguishable. And so you find that one, who do you decide to go with?
I think I'm definitely going to follow Bafuur because Suri, since she's from Innistrad, she'll be better off on her own in this plane than Bafuur will. And I want to make sure that I'm there to guide Bafuur and make sure that he doesn't die.
Okay. So going in, as you start to appear on Innistrad, Bafuur, you can see that there's this almost like dense mist that someone is coming out of. As to who that is, you don't know. But you can also see that there's this other person in what once were white robes who has a double-headed axe in one hand, not like yours. The haft comes up and it forms this almost semicircle with two lines across the top connecting. It's, for those of you who know Magic the Gathering, this is the collar of Avacyn, and the axe is formed into this shape. It's almost like an inverted omega symbol from Greek, a capital omega from the Greek alphabet.
That's a good.
I ready my axe.
Okay, so you pull out your axe, the telescoping handle pops out, you've got it at the ready, and you can see that this individual on the other side of the clearing, something doesn't seem right about them. Bartholomew, this is about the point where you pop in to Innistrad, and you can see that you've got your axe-wielding dwarf, you've got your axe-wielding human. It looks like things are about to go down.
So as the two become aware of each other and start to face off, Bartholomew, there's like this faint yellow glow that emanates as he comes into being, and the sound of rustling pages goes through the clearing along the wind. And he like looks around, gets his bearings, realizes what's going on, and instantly, looking at the person with my experiences on Innistrad, would I recognize this person as someone that is a potential enemy or a potential ally?
We'll call that another insight check.
Okay.
And this is looking at their demeanor, looking at their clothing, the whole kit and caboodle.
All right. I rolled a 23 again.
A 23 again.
Wow.
Apparently 15
So
is...
you can see, and you've been to Innistrad previously. Not for long stretches of time, just enough so that way you can get the story as to what's going on here. Generally, the priests of Avacyn are quite calm individuals. There's something rabid about this one.
Do I notice any strange behavior with that individual?
Considering that you were almost in a mentality of shoot first, ask questions later,
Always.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
But
So
Bartholomew, you came in and you actively were just like, hold on, let's get a gauge of the situation. You see that this person, there's something wrong. There's something off.
I'm gonna instantly move to stand in between the person and Bafuur. I'm gonna have one hand out behind me, like signaling for Bafuur to like hold just a minute, and I'm gonna reach out towards the other person and be like, "Hello, friend. Is there something seems amiss? Are you okay?"
This individual steps out, and you can see that they have this shield, they have their axe, and they look at you and they say, "Where did you come from? What demon summoned you?"
Well, first of all, I can promise you no demons were involved in the procurement of our bodies into this realm of existence. And the true answer to your question is actually very difficult and very long winded. I don't really know if you have the time, so I don't want to waste it. Needless to say, we are friends. We are not your enemies. We are not monsters. No demons involved.
I want you to roll a persuasion check, and this is at disadvantage. The reason
Due
for
to
the
the axe-wielding
disadvantage
friend.
is, well, it's not due to the axe-wielding friend that's behind you. It's more so you came out of nowhere. That does not generally happen on Innistrad without purpose.
You said persuasion, right?
Yep.
That's a 14.
There's a level of hesitancy, and then not setting the axe down, but switching it to the other hand. You can see that they make the Avacyn's collar going from shoulder to heart, the other shoulder back to the heart. And they say, "Avacyn, grant me strength." I need you guys to roll for initiative.
Oh
Oof.
no! You realize that I haven't actually dealt damage to anyone, and you're like, we're gonna fix that. I'm gonna make you fight someone.
That wasn't my intent. It's just you didn't quite roll high enough to have them stand down.
Just a
That's fair.
bonus.
Why did I roll the dice that got me the low number on that roll? That was dumb.
You didn't get a 15?
No.
Dang.
The disadvantage roll, I got a 7 and a 13. But for some reason, I decided to roll the die that rolled a 7.
Must be punished.
Yep, that's the universe humbling me. I got a 9 total.
I have an 11 total.
And they got a 2.
I actually haven't rolled for them quite yet.
Well, we can just say that I rolled for them. Did you roll a 2?
No, this session is brought to you by the number 15.
Oh no! Oh.
Oh boy.
Suddenly I don't like this number anymore.
Okay, Bafuur, you got an 11 total?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the two of you are standing there. Bartholomew, you're trying to keep Bafuur from going absolutely crazy. Bafuur, you're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And this cleric looks at the two of you, makes Avacyn's collar, says, "Avacyn, grant me strength," and charges. So this is going to be kind of interesting. So let's see. Bartholomew, because you're the one who's in the front and you appeared,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to take a swing at you.
Oh no! Don't roll a crit like last time someone hit me.
Remind me your AC.
It is 13.
And Bafuur, just so that way I have everyone's AC,
Mhm.
go ahead and let me know where you're at.
Currently a 16 because I do not have my plate on.
Okay.
My shield on. I have my plate. I don't have my shield because I'm
Yeah, because
two-handing
it
the
seems like
axe.
you've opted for the 2 axe right now.
Yeah, I have a shield, but it is not currently equipped.
Okay. Bartholomew, this cleric runs up to you, takes a big ol' strike with their weapon, and is going to actually end up hitting you. Total of 9 points of damage. Pretty decent on the damage front. And they're standing right in front of you. It doesn't seem like they have a second attack. So, with that, it goes to Bafuur.
All right. I will take a big old swing with my great axe. How far away is he?
You'll need to step around Bartholomew to do that.
Okay, I can do that. I will take the steps around necessary to flank him, and I will smash into him with my great axe, if I may.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack for me with advantage because you're flanking.
Ooh, geez, I have a huge plus to hit. 17 to hit.
Ooh, that'll hit.
Yeah, I only rolled an 11. I've got a +6 to hit. That's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Okay, and then damage. Let's see here. Oh, 6.
6 damage.
Yeah.
Okay, decent, but not the best.
Bafuur seems a little stunned that this person has taken this hit to the side with his great axe so well.
Well, it hits into their armor that they have on, and it it doesn't go all the way in. It's not brutal like when you were fighting the goblins, but you can hear a satisfying crunch as you probably end up breaking a rib or two. With that, Bartholomew, it goes to you.
He's gonna stagger back a little bit from the hit. He's gonna watch as his friend circles around and takes an attack on this person, and he does not like the idea of killing this guy. Like, he knows that this guy is normally a good person, and he's just scared. So it's probably not going to work because we're actively fighting him. But I'm going to try and cast Charm Person on him.
Okay. So that's a wisdom saving throw, correct?
Yep, and he has advantage since we are actively fighting him.
All
Spell
right.
save, the DC is 15 now.
DC is 15. He passes it.
Dang it.
Looks at you and says, "You will tempt me with your dark magics," and is going to go ahead and do a big ol' haymaker down at Bafuur.
Oh, I'm going to pull out my rapier once I realize it doesn't work as my bonus action.
Okay. Bafuur, that will not hit you. Takes a big ol' wide swing, turning around, and you just duck underneath it.
Nice.
With that, he is going to go ahead and he's going to move closer towards Bartholomew. Bafuur, that will give you an attack of opportunity if you choose to take it.
Yes, please. I will take a swing at him. That is an 11.
An 11 will not hit. So
Oh,
you
wait.
take another.
My plus, sorry. That's my
Oh.
11 on the dice. Again, plus 6. 17.
That will hit.
Yeah. All right, let's see if I can get this d12 any better. No, not bad. That is 13 damage. 9 plus 4.
So you take a big ol' swipe as he turns around. It's almost like a spinning move. You never spin. It's not good. If you've watched any level of martial arts, if you practice martial arts, you know that spinning is not a good move. This guy just spun. There's clearly something wrong with him. So as he spins back around and is charging towards Bartholomew again, you just take a big ol' swipe down at his legs, and you don't like fully rip his Achilles tendon, but you definitely he's gonna feel that later. So with that, it goes back to Bafuur.
And he's still within range of me?
No, so he moved just barely out of range because Bartholomew was about 5 feet back. So this cleric moved up about 5 feet towards him. That was when you had your attack of opportunity.
Okay. I will move in towards him in an attempt to flank well. That is 17 plus 6, 23 to hit.
23. That will definitely hit.
That is a 6 plus 4, 10 damage.
This guy, you can see that he's definitely feeling it. He's looking very rough.
And Bafuur just kind of shouts to Bartholomew, "What's going on with this guy? He seems rabid."
I don't know, but something's definitely wrong. And Bartholomew's going to level his gaze directly into the eyes of this man. And he's going to say, "A true servant of Avacyn is meant to protect humanity, not destroy it." And I'm going to cast Vicious Mockery.
Ooh, I love that audio component that you have to it.
It's another Wisdom save, 15.
That is a absolute failure.
Sweet. So he's going to take a d4 of psychic damage, and he has disadvantage on the next attack roll. That'll be 3 damage.
It almost seems like these words cut deeper than just the psychic damage. Because as you say this, he collapses to his knees and then fully prostrate on the ground. Let me see what this dice says. Ooh, that is actually really good for you guys. There's something that crunches as he collapses. It sounds like as he falls flat onto his face, something snaps that he was holding.
Once he falls, Bartholomew's going to rush to him and like kneel down and roll him over. Yeah.
So you just roll him over, and looking down, you can see that there's blood. You can see that there's all sorts of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a small stone shape. It's almost a spiral, but it comes out towards a point that he was holding on his person. And you can see that it's broken in the middle. It looks, in some ways, similar to the holy symbol of Sigarda, but it's twisted somehow. It's different. For those of you familiar with the Shadows over Innistrad block, this is a cryptolith.
Bartholomew's going to gingerly reach forward and grab the thing that he's holding and take it from him and look it over and study it.
So you're going to grab this cryptolith?
Yeah.
As your hands touch it, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw. Actually, let's make this a charisma saving throw. This is
better.
more of your first of personality.
23 again. I rolled a
23?
16 this time, though.
As you grab onto this thing, there's an influence that comes on your mind. Something that attempts to shatter your perception on reality. But not only due to your own training, but also because this thing is fragmented. That influence is not as strong as it probably was on this individual.
Okay.
And you're able to shunt it out of your mind and just look at this thing and study what's going on.
He's going to, like, as he picks it up and that happens, he's going to, like, shake his head and close his eyes for a second before, like, looking at it again. And he's just going to, like, turn it over in his hand and then drop it on the ground next to the man.
And as you drop it, that influence, that nagging on your psyche vanishes.
Bartholomew's going... Did the man, like, drop his weapon?
It seems like he is down and out. Like he is not quite... It seems like he's on death's door.
Okay. I'm going to... Like, since I rolled him over, I'm going to position himself so he's got one hand on his weapon. And then Bartholomew's going to do the shoulder heart thing that he saw the guy do earlier and say, I'm sorry. And then he's going to stand up and turn to Bafuur and say, something otherworldly or something powerful had taken sway over this man. He wasn't himself.
Is he still alive?
Not for long, but I think his death will be a mercy.
Probably not allowed to ask that. I will, as a cantrip, cast Spare the Dying on the man.
So, Bafuur, one of the things that happened to you as you were in the Blind Eternities, you thought very deeply not only about where you needed to go, but about your past. And thinking back to the Green Wardens of Kaladesh and your aspirations to be like them, something clicked for you. And there's some level of connection to the divine or to nature. Something is out there, and you reach down, and rather than making the Avacyn's collar gesture like Bartholomew did and just bidding this man a swift passage to the afterlife, which, considering that this is Innistrad, probably wouldn't happen, you lay out one hand, spread-eagled, onto his chest, right where that center gesture is. And there's this green flow that comes out from your fingers that seems very similar to the way that Aether flows on Kaladesh. These tendrils of power wrap around this individual, bind his wounds, and as you finish, you hold your hand back up, the glow dissipates, and you realize that you just commanded the Aether to save this man's life.
Turn to Bartholomew. Did you know I could do that? Because I didn't. That was pretty cool.
No, if I had known you were going to do that, I would have said do that.
Yeah, no, that's new. I just kind of felt bad for the guy. I was just going to give him kind of like a little pat, but then, I just kind of felt like I needed to do something, and it just kind of happened. That was all right. I don't know exactly what I did, but he's breathing, so that's a good sign.
That's good. Bartholomew's going to kick away the thing that the guy had been holding to make sure that if he wakes up, he doesn't grab it again.
Cryptolith.
Yeah. And is he still unconscious, or
he is still very unconscious? Do you want to take a look at what he has?
Sure. I won't like go through his pockets or anything, but I'll look him over and see what
the body.
So, just kind of giving him the once over, you can see that this is clearly a priest of Avacyn. As to whether he's a traveling priest, an inquisitor, or something else, you don't know. precisely as to what his standing in the hierarchy of the church is.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell that he worships Avacyn. It seems like he was traveling between a few different villages, might have been hunting something, might have just been traveling.
Bartholomew's going to look around. Is there any sort of indication, like a road, or can he see lights in the distance? Like, he wants to know if there's a town or civilization nearby.
As you start taking a look around, it seems like you're in a particularly dense patch of forest, and it seems like travel is going to give you a better indication as to where things are.
Can I infer or tell, based on where we saw the guy when we first showed up, what direction he had come from, or what direction he was going?
Taking a few dozen steps into the woods in that direction, you can see that just past a particularly dense patch, there is a road.
Are we just gonna
Bafuur,
leave him here?
no. Do you think you could carry him?
Yeah, I can manage that.
I can carry some of his gear if that will lighten the load. But I think we should take him with us. Try and find some help. Try and figure out
Yeah,
what might
so
have been going on with him.
Balfour will kind of twist the two ends of his great axe, and you can kind of just see that the whole end of it collapses in on itself, while the blades seem to mechanically almost come down a little bit to make it so that it's a little bit more compact. He slides it behind his shield to the sheath that's on his back and slings the man over his shoulder and says, "Where to?"
There's a road over here. Let's go right.
All
I
right.
choose to go right down the path.
So coming onto the road, you turn to the right, and as you travel through this patch of wood, you go out from the woods, and you can see that there's a large mountain range, and it seems like this road goes up towards a mountain pass. And your guess is that the other direction would lead towards some of the villages that are in this valley.
Okay. Never mind. Let's turn around and go the other way.
All
What time of
right.
day is it?
It's kind of difficult to tell because looking up in the sky, it almost feels like it's twilight, but
Okay.
it's not cold enough to be night from what you remember on Innistrad.
Okay.
You haven't really been to this area of the continent,
Mm-hmm.
but you would guess this is what the locals call Stencia.
Okay. And that's what Suri was describing when she was
Mhm.
telling us where to go. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to recommend we turn around and try and make our way towards the villages. As we walk, Bartholomew is going to simultaneously keep an eye on the forest around them, trying to make sure that nothing gets the drop on them. And I think he's also going to start telling Balfour what Kranko told him. Do you want me to roll anything first, or should we?
I would like for you to roll a perception check, please.
Okay.
I'll also be keeping my eyes kind of up and around.
Okay, I want you to roll a perception check as well.
25.
19. Nice.
So the two of you, in keeping an eye out as you're traveling, and traveling to get out of the woods took about 20, 30 minutes. As you're going in, you're traveling a little bit even further. At some point, just kind of standing off on one side of the road, you can see that there's a hooded individual just leaning up against a tree very casually.
Can I see if it's like a person, if they have a weapon? Can I make out any details about the person? That thing?
Tell me what your total was again.
A 19.
Yeah, both of you can see that this individual is humanoid. It is at least human-based. Bafuur, you're also able to tell that this is a tall, relatively muscular individual just based off of the body shape. You can also tell that they come from wealth, or at least they have wealth based on their clothing. Bartholomew, you have a little bit of a better view into underneath the hood of this cloak, and you can see that this is a vampire.
Ooh! Oh no!
You guys are still far enough away that you might be able to make an escape.
That being said, does Balfour know what a vampire is?
I don't think so.
No, I don't
Because
think
there's no
Elvish.
vampires from where he comes from.
Not
Well,
in the
there are
traditional sense.
vampires, but not in the traditional sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the blood-sucking type. This is like Aetherborn trying to suck aether out of things.
Right. Life
That would be
force,
the
yeah.
vampires that you would be aware of. And
Mhm.
even then, only in like the worst sort of stories the other guards would have told you.
Right.
Once Bartholomew realizes what this person is, he's gonna stop Balfour. Have they noticed us?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay. Hey, you want to planeswalk again? Just kidding.
It only takes an action, and you can only do it once a day, but you guys have not long rested, so you cannot.
Nope.
I'm just going to point out my sticker on my mug. Beware of the smiling DM.
Yeah, and you've been smiling a lot today. It's scaring me.
I love Innistrad. It's so interesting to me. And the fact that you guys are here and that now I've got a plan for it, that makes me smile.
Oh no, what have I done?
What? Are we not going this way? Who? Do you know who that is or what that is?
I know what it is.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Would it be better to go?
The
on
individual
map?
just raises a hand, waves hello.
Okay.
Balfour will like pick up the hand of the unconscious body slung over his shoulder and wave back. Hey.
Bartholomew will hesitantly also wave out. He's gonna, as he waves, he's gonna say to Balfour, "That's a vampire. They drink blood, and on this plane of existence are not great people, from what I've heard. Haven't met one
Oh.
myself, but I've heard stories." Hi,
The
friend.
hand just kind of awkwardly drops out of Balfour's grasp. Like, oh, okay. I just waved to that.
I was aware of a priest coming along the road. I thought I would welcome them to my domain. I'm wondering who you are.
We're just regular old people. We ran into him in the woods. Something attacked him, and we are trying to help him out. We're hoping to get him to this village, get him some help. We did what we could, but we just want to make sure that he's okay. And Bartholomew, as he's saying this, is going to start trying to usher Balfour to like, keep going, let's keep walking.
Balfour, take the hint.
So as you keep walking, you come up closer to where they're standing. And they say, I'm not aware of anything that would have attacked a priest of Avacyn, at least while traveling. Most of what goes on here I'm aware of. Even the Howl Pack over to the west. They're off in the west, and we're on the eastern side of my valley.
Woods can be dangerous in these parts.
And it's such a lovely valley you have here.
Thank you. I try to keep watch over every square inch.
And Bartholomew's going to keep walking, like he's not going to stop. Even as we reach the person, he's going to just walk past.
And they're going to fall into step with you and just say, do you mind if I travel with you?
I mean, we wouldn't want to inconvenience you. You look like an important man. You probably have places to be and things to do. We can take care of this man.
Oh, I was figuring that I would have helped him myself if I had seen him first. And as you said, these woods are dangerous. Why not keep safety in numbers?
You have a good point, sir. May I ask your name?
I am Streffen Mauer.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Mauer.
Might I ask of your names?
My name is Silence.
I need you to roll a deception check there.
I was wondering how long you were going to let me get away with this. I'm pretty good at that. Let's try the burnished copper die.
Just throwing this out there. Balfour, with the intelligence of 11, kind of gives Bartholomew a strange glance like he's never heard that name before because he hasn't. And then just looks back at the towering vampiric individual and just says, my name's Balfour.
I chose the wrong die. You, sir, are going in jail. You can go over there. I rolled a 9.
Well, considering that Bafuur gave Streffen advantage, he definitely saw through this.
Bartholomew's not going to say anything more. He's just going to keep walking.
Salens.
Yep. My friends call me Sal.
I think your friends call you a liar.
Sometimes. When I lie.
Well, you clearly just did, as your friend would attest to. Isn't that right, Bafuur?
I don't know. I mean, I met this guy like 3 weeks ago, so for all I know, that is
interesting. And what are you doing here? Just visiting? I mean, You don't seem like a priest or someone who would travel.
Well, you would be wrong there. I travel quite a bit personally. I've heard tale of Stencia from a friend of mine. I thought it would be fun to come check it out, and Bafuur here decided to tag along because, like I said, the woods can be dangerous.
And what province do you hail from, if I may ask?
The one we came from?
You in particular, who looks down at Bafuur, are intriguing. Not very many individuals anywhere that I know of have your sort of stature.
Ma always told me I was normal, and it's not rude to point out other people's heights. Or it is rude. Now I'm confusing myself.
It seems to be a common thing for you. Salence, where do you hail from?
I hail from Gavany.
And he's going to ask some very specific questions about the Church of Avacyn there. I need you to roll a religion check to see if you can get this information.
Well, I'm not bad at that one. I'm not using bad die. You have lost your privileges. Hey, guess what? Another 15. And that's going to be 21. 21 total.
This is episode, 6 or 7? But this is brought to you by the number 15. It's simple enough stuff for you. You're a voracious reader. You like the stories. You like knowing what's going on. And so it takes a little bit, but not an excessive amount for you to have this information available as he asks for it.
Okay.
He asks about the different flights of angels. He asks about some of the tenets of the Church of Avacyn, some of the church structure, who's the current high priest, who's one of the head lunarchs, and you end up giving a really interesting name. Brain, where did it go? Odric. And he also brings up the riders of Gavany, and you've heard tell of them, and one of their most notable figures, Thalia. And so the questions go relatively smoothly for you, and as you lead out of the forest, you can see that this is a really kind of a larger valley, and there's a spike of mountains that come in from the north. And at the end of this run of the mountain range, there's a large castle, and coming down from the castle, there's a relatively small town, but you can see that there's a river running through just south of the town itself that runs off towards the west, presumably towards Nephalia and the coastal area. And he says, that castle there, that's Mauer Estate.
It's quite impressive.
If ever you have need of me, you can ask for me there. And he points down to the village in the lower part of your view. That there is the town of Shadowgrange. You might be able to find someone there. I'm afraid that this is where we're going to part, but Bafuur and Salence, I do so thoroughly hope that we can meet again.
We thank you for your company. And if we ever stand in need of your assistance, we will be sure to reach out to you.
Please do not hesitate. It's very rare that such distinguishable guests come to my domain. You see, something shifts. He turns into a wolf and runs off.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. That's gonna make for a really interesting story. Let's go to town.
Yeah, he was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, that's...
Called me short. I'm actually, pretty tall where I come from. So that's pretty rude.
He just Napoleon Bonaparted you.
Yeah, a little bit.
The next 20-ish minutes traveling down into the village of Shadowgrange are kind of interesting for you guys. It's, you talk about, holy crap, he seemed far too interested. That was a very interesting experience for the both of you. And overall, what are your guys' thoughts on the proceedings of what just happened?
Bartholomew is thoroughly freaked out because during his short time that he has spent on Innistrad, he spent a lot of time visiting with the people, particularly Priest of Avacyn in a town that he had visited, and they told him stories of the vampires and their cruelty, and so he has a general idea that they are not good people and that they're very dangerous. And so the fact that he was just walking toe to toe, like step by step with one, is very frightening. And what's even more frightening is the fact that he didn't kill us. Like, he let us go for some reason, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah, I think Balfour knows that Stefan was dangerous, but I don't. Balfour doesn't fully comprehend the danger that just passed yet. I don't think he fully realizes exactly what Streffen might have been capable of, having given the opportunity. Just a little bit more put off that he was called short.
So, coming into Shadowgrange, this is a relatively small village. It's not walled, because there's frankly a very commanding view of this place from Mauer Estate. And so, what good are walls when the vampire lord, who is over this whole area, it seems, is right there, readily available. Coming into town, there's like 2 or 3 roads throughout this whole place. You come in, looking off down the first fork. It's kind of a T-junction. You're coming in on one of the legs, and there's the split off that goes to the right, and then there's the path that goes straight ahead. Looking down towards the right, you can see there's a row of houses. It's pretty standard stuff. Going straight ahead, you can see that there's probably the burgomaster's house and the tavern, the local shops, that sort of thing. Down in front of one of these houses, there are 2 children, it seems, that are just standing there.
They're not doing anything. They're just standing there.
They're just kind of standing there.
Is there anyone else in the streets, or is it just the children?
It looks like it's just the children right now. It's
Okay.
probably getting to be evening at this point with how much you guys have traveled.
All right.
There are lights that are hanging in front of the tavern, in front of the burgomaster's house, that seem inviting, and the fact that there are just 2 children just standing there is disconcerting.
Looking around, do I see any sign of a church?
Up above the roofs, as you were coming down into the town itself, it looks like the main church of Avacyn is on the far side of the village.
Okay.
Up towards another hill, one of the foothills to the mountain, where Mauer Estate is, and behind the church there was a very large graveyard.
Okay. Bartholomew's going to look at the children as we walk by, and he's just going to smile and wave to them and then he's going to turn to Bafuur and be like, I think I saw a church on the far side of town. I think that's going to be the best place that we can take this guy to
Sounds
get him
good
some
to me.
help.
So continuing on through the rest of the village, you go up towards the church, and I'm actually going to go, I need to grab another book. I didn't realize that I did not have this book in the big old stack of stuff that I grabbed. Okay, so going into the church, it's pretty quiet. Big old heavy doors that you can see they are very scratched up. Whether that's because the town doesn't have a fence or there's some recent activity going on, you can't quite tell. But you knock, and someone comes up. You can hear that there's an audible click as a door unlocks. And opening up the door, there's a little bit of an older fellow, a little bit portly, with a big old aquiline nose. Hair is starting to thin, and he looks at you and he says, "Oh." And he looks at the priest and he says, "Come in."
As we come in, I'm going to explain. We ran into him in the woods. He must have thought that we were enemies or something, but he attacked us. We fought, and we beat him, obviously, but we want to make sure that he gets help. Like, we never intended to fight him in the first place.
Did something seem to be off about him?
Yeah, something was weird. He's like, Bafuur described it well. He said like, it was almost a feral.
I seemed rabid.
Something was definitely affecting his mind, I feel like.
Did he have any sort of artifacts, something on him that could explain this?
Yeah, actually, he had like this like twisted stone thing that broke when he fell over. I'm pretty sure that was the source of whatever was going on with him. It's gone now. We left it back in the woods.
Worrisome. And he makes the Avacyn's collar gesture, almost like a reflexive, like in the real world, Catholics make the gesture of the cross as almost like a sign of fear. Just, oh Lord, protect me.
Mm-hmm.
He does that same sort of reaction of, oh, Avison, please just let it be okay. And looks at the two of you and he says, I can take him from here.
Okay. Is there anywhere you would like Balfour to set him down, or?
He leads you into the main chapel area, and you can see that this place is torn up. Something has been on a rampage through here.
Looks like you've been having troubles with something.
Many, not the least of which being the Fiend. Makes the gesture again.
Are you referring to the upper denizens of the valley?
Avison, grant me wisdom. And he proceeds to go into he's the local church figure. And the people have been coming to him recently asking. The wards aren't holding. What's going on? And he hasn't had answers for them. Streffen Mauer, he's a big old he's the fiend of the Outland Valleys, but there's something else going on. One of the reasons as to why this priest was coming is because the last priest who came by, he said the angels were going crazy, that there were towns that were being destroyed by the angels of Avison.
That doesn't sound right. That's not what I've been told about the angels. I thought they were humanity's protectors.
Thought they're supposed to be the good guys.
That's what I have always taught. And so dread times must be upon us.
Well, let's wake this priest up and see if he's got any answers.
And so he's been weeping a little bit during this. Looking at you, as you say this, there's actually a scream that comes from downstairs. It's barely audible, but there's something going on that isn't fully apparent. And he tries to cover it up, looks at each of you and says, I am so sorry about that. Yes, let's get this done. And you can see that he makes the gesture of the collar, grabs a holy symbol that's up against his chest, holds it out, and there's this light that diffuses and comes over the priest that you guys had traveled with. And he stands up. Well, not fully stands, is sitting, but he's awake. He's conscious.
Okay, first off, what was that scream?
Yeah, I was. That doesn't sound right. Should we go? Does someone need help?
It is a wayward child. Nothing that you need concern yourself over. I have it well in hand.
They seem like they were in pain. I might be able to help.
And the traveling priest, he's looking up and he says, Father Donovich? You two.
Hey, that was not our fault, man.
You
You came at
attacked us.
us.
My friend here just carried you 3 miles to get you here, so we could get you some help.
Otherwise, the vampire that we ran into would have had you for lunch.
I'm sorry, what? Vampire?
We ran
Yes.
into Sir Mauer.
He looks up at Father Donovich, and Father Donovich looks down at him. There's a knowing exchange, just in eye contact, and they look at you, too, and they say, You survived?
He seemed more entertained with the idea of us, rather than the taste of us.
Frankly, I'm just as surprised as you are from what I've heard of.
He was kind of a jerk. He called me short.
Looking around the chapel, is there like a doorway or stairway that might lead somewhere where the screams came from?
So there was that first hallway, and there were 2 sets of doors that led off, opposite of one another, into probably 4 different rooms. You would guess that this is like the priest quarters, a private study area, things like that. But there was no visual cue of a stairway.
I'm still very concerned about that scream. Are you sure that's not something we should go check out? He's gonna like start approaching whichever door he feels like might lead to the source of the scream.
As you start heading back to the hallway, Father Donovich, he stands up and he just says, Do you doubt my capacity to watch over those in my care?
No. You misunderstand. I don't doubt your capacity. I just have a different capacity that may be helpful in this situation. If I just don't like when people are hurt.
He makes the gesture of Avison's collar. And I need you to roll a persuasion check with that.
Okay. It's going to be a 14.
As he looks at you, he doesn't seem fully convinced. He basically kind of brushes it off and says, The care that I provide should be enough for this individual.
All right. My friend is really polite. Tell us about the wayward child before your head becomes wayward from your body.
I need you to make an intimidation check.
And Bafuur pulls out his axe, twists the handle, and the great axe pops out into its full form.
I need you to roll an intimidation check.
Intimidation. 12. I have a -1 for intimidation, but that's okay. That's okay.
Bafuur, that seems that there's no need for that.
I do appreciate you bringing this priest to my chapel. However, the actions that you are taking since then have not been kind. I would like to ask you politely to allow me to handle the issues of my flock. And if you need refuge tonight, I will allow that. But do not ask me to tell you how to... Do not presume to tell me how to handle my position.
I'm terribly sorry for the misunderstanding. We only want to do good by the people we meet. I trust you have this in hand. We'll be out of your hair. We will leave you be. And he'll turn to the priest that originally attacked us, say, I'm glad that you're better and that you've gotten the help you need. And then he's going to turn and motion for Bafuur to come with him out of the chapel.
Bafuur's already turned around, just grumbling under his breath. Your position should be up under my axe. Kind of begrudgingly, like heading towards the door, like he's mad that he's not getting what he asked for.
Once we're out of the chapel and we're walking down the street, Bartholomew's just gonna like rub his forehead and rub his temples again. Bafuur, I think we need to have a discussion here about your temperament.
Hey, back where I come from, church folks like that and little children making screams like that add up questions. And we like answers where I come from.
I won't disagree. This scream does seem unusual. And given the state we found the priest in the forest, I am also questioning the mental capacity of these people. But situations like this require a little more tact, don't you think? We're in a strange place. We're not native. People already don't trust us. If we're going to get the answers we seek, we need them to like us.
Yeah, I guess. With the side note that Bafuur has a charisma of 8.
Okay. Well, do you remember those children that we saw when we were coming into town earlier?
Yep, the creepy ones.
Yeah. They're the only other people we've seen in this town so far. I'm thinking we could either go see if we can find them again, ask them what's going on, or maybe I think I saw a tavern on our way to the church. We could pop in there, see if there's anyone we can question. Because something seems wrong here.
Our options are creepy children or
tavern.
Possibility of booze.
To the children.
All right.
I'm just kidding. I know it's been a long journey. I think we need the rest anyway. I say still 9 hit points down from our battle.
Yep. That's up to you. I'm fine either way, I guess.
Let's start heading towards the tavern. I think it was close to
Okay.
where the children were anyway.
So, going back down, you're going to make your way to the tavern, and I think that seems like a pretty good place to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see what happens next time as you guys are traveling through the town of Shadowgrange. And let's see if we can find out where Suri went, because we've had quite a bit going on with you two. Where has she been at this whole time? Join us again.
Thank you all for joining us in this episode of Fireside Dice. This podcast is produced by Realms of Roleplaying, and all music used in this program was produced by Alexander Nakarada of Serpent Sound Studios. We'll see you all in the next episode.